We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Reeds drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good.
Hello and welcome to La La Land on LA Talk Live. That's Dorothy Dillingham Blue.
And there's Brett Chapin. Hello.
Thanks for joining us on La La Land. This is the only nationally broadcast show by Los Angeles artists about Los Angeles artists on episode 140.
Wow.
On a special extended 2-hour episode 140, I should say. We started at 11 o'clock today.
That's right. That's right. It's a jam-packed 2-hour episode of La La Land.
I don't know if I can talk for 2 hours.
Oh, I know I can. So don't you worry, honey. There's a reason you brought me in. There's a reason I'm the co-host.
Good stuff. You'll pick up the slack for me. Well, we have two great guests with us today, and I'm very happy that we have the guests from our pilot episode coming full circle. Mackenzie Aston.
Good afternoon, good morning. I can't believe,
Mackenzie.
number one, that was the first episode, and number two, that we're 140 episodes in. Bravo, congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, nothing. I just had to show up.
We're excited to have you,
Yeah.
along with Mr. Ted Stryker.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, Ted.
Thank you for having me. Mackenzie,
Yes?
you're the reason there are 140 in. If that would have stunk and you would have stunk, they'd be done. They'd be out somewhere doing not this.
I will gladly
is
accept
true.
the credit, but I really didn't put in that much work. They've been doing the legwork. I really did just show up, and I guess it went okay.
It did.
That's fantastic. How long have you guys been in the new digs? I know when we did the first episode, it was we were out in Simi Valley. Is that right?
Sunland.
Sunland.
Yeah.
Since November of last year.
Yeah, November of last year.
That's fantastic. It's beautiful here. It's a very nice place. And there was something you said in one of the emails that this building hosted the Academy Awards at one point.
Yes.
When was
It
that?
did. Before they were broadcast, right? They were pre-broadcast. What are the details, Van Erich? You got to clue us in here.
Thank you for allowing me to participate. Secondly, as I understand, I would say like in the late 40s, maybe early 50s.
Okay.
Because if you walk down the steps and the adjacent wall in the corner is like the history, a little bio on when it was a theater.
All right,
and how it
10-4.
looked.
I will be checking that out before I leave.
Hold on, I
Yeah.
spaced out. So you're saying the information you're giving us is for us to go read.
Yes.
You're
I
saying
know.
you're not answering. You're saying after this, you go look yourselves.
You have to look
All
for
right,
yourself because I don't want to
thank you.
give the wrong info. You know what I mean? Here at LA Talk Live, we make sure that we give the correct.
That is right.
That's important. That's important. That's
Well,
good.
I'm doing everything wrong on my little radio show because I'm pretty sure I give about 43% incorrect information every single day. But if you say it with a hint of confidence, it can be believable.
that true?
Absolutely. That's all it really takes.
What do they
Right.
say in politics? If you lie often enough, it becomes the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Politicians are the worst.
Yeah,
Man, are they just blowhards? They're just awful human beings for the most part.
For the most part, I know the very first time I ever saw a bad word in print, it was describing politicians. Do you remember Cracked magazine? Now you see Cracked.com on the internet, but Cracked magazine was sort of like Mad magazine. This is back in the early '80s or so, and it was it was a humor magazine with all kinds of drawings and different articles and whatnot. And I'll never forget the first time I saw a bad word in print. It was describing what people could do for professions later in life, and if you wanted to become a politician, the first rule of thumb is, well, you have to be a shitty person. Like that's the first thing in order to be a politician.
And how old were you when you were reading this magazine?
I would
Cracked
say
magazine?
10 or 12. Wow. I certainly didn't have permission to read it.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that okay with your parents?
Not at all.
No,
Not at all.
okay.
I'm sure that I procured it in some nefarious way. It was probably, who it was? It probably belonged to Jerry Milford.
Who was a neighbor. So I think I would like to point out,
Yes.
people are probably going, well, why is Mackenzie Aston, the great man,
Oy.
and this radio dork together on your show? The reason is we have known each other since probably 1978 or 79. Whatever,
Yeah.
you were born in about 75 or
I'm from
74.
73, yeah.
73, okay, and I'm before you. And I knew your brother really well, you and your entire family. And we have not seen each other in a while,
Which is crazy to me.
but our paths have crossed in really interesting ways. Number one, you introduced my brother to his wife.
Which is bonkers. Which is
That's
absolutely
well
bonkers.
done.
So in this would probably be 1996. I was spending a lot of time at a bar called Dublin's on Sunset, and I happened to run into Stryker's brother there one night, and we were having a good time, drinking and joking and laughing and maybe smoking.
Right.
And well, I was smoking for sure. And then we ended up back after the bar shut down. We all ended back at the house that I was renting.
Now, was that by
in-
Rancho Park?
That's
that
right,
house?
on
Okay.
Kerwood Avenue.
All right.
And Stryker's little brother was there, and there was also a group of young ladies that were not. I guess that we had sort of landed at the bar, you know, and invited back to my place because there was like a pool table.
By the way,
and-
can I just
Yeah.
tell you, do not turn around right now because the person you are with.
my wife?
Okay, yes. Is she? You know when a bull is about to charge a
Yeah.
man with a red cape?
Right.
He's a matador. If you're talking about landing women and stuff, smoke is coming out of her
Oh, no.
beautiful nose.
Yeah,
No?
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
no,
here's
she's
the
okay.
the beauty of it was is that I wasn't nothing happened with me and any of the ladies that were there. Is that Stryker's little brother
Yeah.
who was in residence and a young lady named Kimmy hit it off pretty well and started a relationship that night and are married now
With 2 kids and
What?
yes, it's all because of Mackenzie Aston.
I don't
right
know
here.
about that. It might have had
Wow.
something to do with Jack Daniels.
Possibly
So
that
that's-
as well.
Right.
What is it's like that rumor that the person you meet at a bar is someone that you're going to marry. That's supposed to be some sort of urban myth, and I guess it kind of happened.
She doesn't have a microphone in front of her, but my wife and I we met in a bar.
Well, there you go.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
where are you
You
supposed to
never
meet
know.
people anyways these days?
It's there's the internet.
Friendster, right?
Right. Yep,
Friendster,
Friendster's
MySpace,
great.
Twitter.
We actually know a few people who are married now that met on eHarmony and what's the other one, babe?
Well, we had
and Match.com.
We had Damona Resnick Hoffman on, and she is Dear Mrs. D. She's a dating coach, and she started as a casting director and was
Perfect.
helping actors do their online profiles, and that and she met her husband online, and then she helps other people. Sort of curate their online profiles and meet, and she does dating tips and being a wing person, and I mean, and she has this whole thing.
I like the expression "wing person."
Yeah, well, yeah,
that's
I mean,
good.
'cause
No,
it could be
it's
a wingman, it could be
right.
a
No, but
wingwoman.
it's good. It's a wing person.
Don't
That's-
you guys think that the internet now has made men, mostly men, and some of the women just too dependent on hiding behind a keyboard? And if they had to go up with someone that they were attracted to, it's already very hard when there was no internet. But now with the internet, it's virtually impossible for a guy to go up to a girl and not come off as a jerk or even have the guts to go up to them because they're so used to texting them or going on Twitter or MySpace or Facebook. No one's on MySpace except bands who aren't even bands anymore. Or going on the internet and doing it. And I have a couple friends who are just, they cannot speak to girls in person now, and it's because they have lost all their game because they're so much typing.
Well, yeah,
and they're
'cause-
good at the tapping on the keyboard.
Well,
They're
it's
really
editing,
good at that.
It's the editing capability that I think kind of ruins the communication process, like the spontaneity.
Yeah.
You want that spontaneous thing of like you see this person, you have to talk to them. There's no way that you're going to delete what is going on in your mind right now. You have to speak to them at that moment and be daring. Like do it, strap on a pair and let go.
Hello,
So-
do what now?
You
I
lose
think she
that
meant
skill.
like a pair of boots or
Okay,
something.
yeah.
You really do lose that skill when you're
You do.
using the internet so much.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'd
It's
love
an
to say.
important skill.
I would
It
love
is
to
an
say that
important
we're
skill.
getting better at typing or communicating, with the written word, but that's so far from true with the amount of abbreviations that take place because of the texting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I consider myself a fan of the English language, and I continue to be completely disappointed with with the changes that we're seeing in how people communicate with one another. However, I say that, and I totes use the word totes.
I was just going to say, I am breaking out an email that Mackenzie Aston sent me
my
yesterday.
goodness.
Do you mind if I
no,
read
read
this?
it, read
Please,
it.
please.
It said,
And-
"Hi."
And I should say, if you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 323-473-3100.
I want people to call. Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
We want people to call.
What's the number?
Absolutely.
323
That would be
56
323-473-3100. It's
Okay.
right below me right here.
Yes.
All right.
can
Yeah.
see.
Question.
you could see it.
Go
But
ahead.
You
Excuse me.
used no, that's fine. You abbreviated everything in here, and you used emojis. That you put the dog and the pound sign, like pound dog. That's really weird that you're using emojis with me. We've been friends for so long.
Right. Well, it is a quick way to communicate, and actually, the truth is, that I know some of the emoji artists, so there's a little bit of a back end action for me. The more I use them, the more money those guys make.
When I hear him talking right now, Brett, I'm listening and I'm looking at him. But when I just hear him talk, it is the craziest thing. Knowing him for so long and seeing his face, I don't know if it's the same for you looking at me, but I still see him as like a 9 through 17-year-old
Totally.
running around the neighborhood, playing at the baseball field.
Totally.
Mac, by the way, in the old times when I called you Mackie, I think you got mad. Do you hate that? Or
No,
you like that?
it's nice now because it reminds me of the youth that is forever gone.
Because it was never Mackenzie, but it was Mac, and then I thought you didn't like Mackie.
I probably didn't like Mackie at a certain point because it felt diminutive or something like that. But now
Diminutive?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
You actually prefer Mackie to Mac?
I'll take Mackie any day I can get it.
That's good to know.
All right.
That is good to know. And I really hope I'm not coming off as like Uncle Rico, like, oh my God, back in the day, I could have taken state. It is just, it's amazing how things come full circle. I mean, this is like 35 years ago.
A good long
in the
time.
same neighborhood, and you're living in your neighborhood, and you're like, yeah, he's a great baseball player, and their families, they're actors, and his dad is on the Addams Family, but he's bringing Winchell's Donuts to all our baseball
Sure.
games, and he's the nicest
Gotta
guy
have
with
that
the
food.
best voice. His dad, I remember so much. His dad always had donuts. Every time we were at the baseball
That's
field,
a
he was
good
bringing
dad.
everybody
for sure.
donuts.
He would show up with stuff for everybody. Well, your dad and my dad were, I think, they were commissioners in the league for a little while.
My
right?
dad wasn't a commissioner, but he coached in the same league for probably 15 years straight.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a pretty good run. And,
is a good run.
It's so funny. The field is still there and still kicking it. And now there are kids of. Do you remember Jeremy Woods and
course,
Josh Woods?
of course,
so Josh
yes.
Woods, Josh Woods, one of Josh Woods' kids plays there all the time. I actually went to a game at West LA Little League about 6 months ago, and it blew my mind how tiny that place is.
And the field he's talking about, the location is at Sepulveda in Ohio, in West LA. You can kind of see it when you're driving on the 405. It's right there in Westwood, West LA.
Right.
And that was our spot, man. Every
Which
year.
team? Which team were you on?
In Little League, people, do you guys even care about this? But I'm going to tell you. I was on the Giants in Little League and
Okay.
the Dodgers in
In
Pony
the,
League Senior League.
In Pony. Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, all right. The Giants.
Who was your team?
Well,
Padres.
Yeah, I was in the Padres
Yeah.
in the minors, and then the Angels
Yes.
in the league they called the majors, and then the Orioles in the senior league. But I remember it was anytime we had to play the Giants, it was tough because they had a good
We were
ball.
good.
They had a really good ball club. I
we
mean,
had a great. We won it maybe 2 of my 4 years.
right? Was Barry Levine on the Giants?
Barry was not on my team, but we had Willie Crawford. Willie Crawford, when he was 12 years old, was 6'5". His dad was a professional player on the Dodgers,
Yeah.
on the real Dodgers,
Yeah.
and he was our Kelly Leak, like from the Bad News Bears. But he was our Kelly Leak.
Yeah,
man,
truly.
he was good.
Yeah, super ball player. Gosh, that's so funny. That is 30.
His dad
years
played
ago.
professional, so
Yeah.
he had some good genes.
He had some great genes. And you know who was also in this league was Tony Orlando's son, Tie Yellow Ribbon, Tony
Right.
Orlando,
Right.
right? John Orlando,
Yes.
who went by John Cassavetes.
Cassavetes,
right?
right.
But
His
not
kid.
the John Cassavetes.
No.
So
Which
walking
was always
around
so
our league,
confusing to me. I could
Yes.
never figure out who this guy. Like I knew people would go nuts because Tony Orlando. I'm like, but he goes by Cassavetes. And then I look up John Cassavetes. I'm like, that is not the guy I'm remembering. It's so funny.
Not a lot of John Cassavetes out there.
No, there's one
Yeah.
who's the director and
Clearly
the
there's
writer,
two, at
very
least.
artistic, and now there's our friend who goes by who's been going by John Orlando for like 30 years now.
Yeah, for a long time. But was Tony Orlando of Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Right.
Like a huge star.
huge. He still tours 200 days a year. I talked to him on Twitter at
No
Tony
way.
Orlando. Yes.
No way.
Yes, he's the
That's
greatest guy in
and
the
he's-
world.
And he's packing crowds. He's getting people out there.
Yes,
That's unbelievable.
He's one of the best entertainers, breathing patriotic air, the best guys of all time, Brett. Brett, I'm
He seems
sorry
like
we're
it.
talking like Uncle Rico right now.
No, I knew it.
Okay.
I knew this would be a piece of cake interview.
Wow.
So I'm going to turn Mackenzie and Stryker on and let them go.
So we would go to this baseball field, and it was like the movie Bad News Bears. It was very, very serious baseball.
Truly.
But then you had Tony Orlando walking around, and John Aston,
Right.
their dad, walking
The
around.
old man, yeah.
It was incredible.
That sounds incredible.
It was.
So where was this was at Sepulveda in Ohio? This
Right.
wasn't okay. You guys didn't grow up in Glendale.
No,
No,
sir,
no.
no. We
No,
both
no.
grew up right by UCLA. We
Right by
actually,
UCLA,
I think
yeah.
our houses were probably what, like 1,000 yards from each
Probably
other.
1,000
we were
yards.
up the hill. You guys were on Gailey.
We were on Montana,
On Montana.
and Gailey, basically.
Right,
Which
right
is
there.
right by UCLA. And one of the things I love to do most, you know when you're addicted to a video game, you just can't wait to get home? For me, I was like all day long at school. I could not wait to get home and get on my bike and ride to the UCLA campus. As a 12-year-old, my parents, I like, why would you let me go do this? I would ride my bike there. It took about 5 minutes. I
Right.
would park it. They had a bowling alley on the UCLA campus. I would bowl by myself. I would buy candy. I would go in their arcade.
arcade,
I would
yep.
walk around, and I would spend like 2 hours there. Then I would go into the old Poly Pavilion. It's at the same location, of course.
Right.
And I would watch the team practice.
Oh.
Some of the players got to know me a little bit. I was just a little kid having the best time.
So fortunate. Same thing. Sean and I would ride to my big brother Sean and I would ride to the student store all the time, to the bowling alley all the time. We must have pumped $1,000 in quarters into the machines there. And had so much. We had such a good time. You know, it's. I don't want to. I'm going to bring the room down for a second, but it seems like it was. It was a different time. It was a more innocent time where there were no qualms about letting your 10, 12, 13-year-old ride his bike
With no helmet.
With no helmet,
Right.
right? Through. Do you remember that the shortcut off of Gailey where you would have to
Up the little
right, and
yeah,
it
up the
was like
mountain.
it was like being on one of the land speeders in Return of
Yes,
the Jedi. With the
exactly.
trees coming by. Man, it was
Yeah.
so much fun.
It was so fun growing
You
up
can't do
here.
that nowadays. You can't do
It's
that.
it's a little. I mean,
Never.
I guess you could do it virtually.
Right.
There's plenty of fun to be had in front of that television set.
But like my son's 5, and I'm really excited that next year he's going to be going to a school where it's 2 blocks away. We can walk to school.
Perfect.
Which is great. I love that kind of community. I'm from a small town, and so like I loved being able to really know your neighbors.
Right.
Know who's at the store. Who you come in, you see the same people all the time. That's what I like. So
I avoid neighbors, by the way. I have
you
always
avoid neighbors?
I do.
They're like the best security system ever. Like
This
they're
is
better
true.
than
Good for
ADT
them.
at the end
This
of the
is
day. They really are.
That's great, and I appreciate that. But for some reason, like I want to hang out with you guys after this. I'd love to drive around and go get donuts and do everything. Go to the round of Randy's Donuts, it's in here.
Right.
But when I see the neighbors, I just like I can't look
shut
at
it
them for
down.
some reason. I shut it down.
It's-
I don't want them knowing me, and I don't want to know their business at all for some reason. It's the
funny.
opposite of Three's Company.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
I get where you're
weird.
coming from though, because we had some new neighbors move in, and they're walking by, they're moving their stuff in, and I'm just like tunnel vision.
Right,
walking,
right.
And it's nothing personal. It's just
Nothing
that,
personal.
This is my space. That's your space.
And if I see something goofy
don't know.
going on next door, I will call the cops for them. I don't even know their names. I know nothing about them.
You mean goofy with them or somebody doing something to
Somebody doing something
them?
goofy.
Okay.
towards them.
I thought you meant
Yeah, I
like,
had to call. I like witnessed a car accident, and my neighbor's car, which was parked, was completely hit.
Yikes.
And it was late at night. I had come home from God knows where, and so I'm like knocking on their door. I'm like, "Your car's been hit," and I'm calling the police and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of neighbor I am. The nosy neighbor, just which I'm sure shocks none of our listeners, but
funny.
at all.
But at least you're being helpful. At least
I'm
you're
being
helping them
very
with their
helpful.
car.
Yes.
Not like you're trying to figure out what they do for a living or
No.
things like that.
Although
no.
I do know.
Right. And clearly their entire history.
Pretty
As
much,
well.
yes.
do you
Yeah.
guys
I do.
This is, do you guys remember a movie called Max Dugan Returns?
Yes.
Max Dugan Returns
Okay.
is
Absolutely.
filmed at Venice High School.
Right.
Okay, with Matthew Broderick.
Sure,
of
Yeah.
course.
sure. And Marsha Mason and James Coburn? No, different guy.
The guy with the great
no.
voice. Hey.
Jason Robards.
Jason Robards.
Jason
right.
Robards. Well, there's a character that lives next door to Matthew Broderick and his mom, Mrs. Litke, and she is in the movie. She is the ultimate spy, and it is that character that actually gets them in trouble because Jason Robards is sort of on the run from the law and so on and so forth. And I'll never forget Donald Sutherland's got a great line. He goes, "Mrs. Litke is more reliable than the FBI."
Right. And Mrs. Litke is played by the lady who was in Grease, Blanche.
Oh
Stop blubbering, Blanche.
That's it.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yeah, Max Dugan Returns is great. That was for you, Wittgenstein.
That's it.
After
That's
I hit
it.
the thing. Do you guys know what we're talking about?
But no, but we just
just had Barry Pearl.
Barry Pearl from Greece on a couple
Oh,
weeks ago.
really?
Yeah.
Duty.
Very cool. Yeah.
So much fun.
Grease
He's
is
a
such
fun
a.
one.
By the way, I have a bar trick,
Oh.
and I hope I don't mess it up now, but it is a scene from Grease that I can do in rapid fire.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm in. I'm in.
Okay. Thank you, fans and friends, and odds and ends. Now for you gals and guys, a few words to the wise. You gyms and Sals are my best pals, and to look your best for the big contest, just be yourselves and have a ball, because that's what it's all about after all. So forget about the campers and think about the beat. We'll get the folks at home a real big treat. Don't worry about the camera is. Just keep on dancing. That's your biz. Hey, if I tap you on the shoulder, move to the side. Let the others finish the ride.
Yeah,
Nice.
very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
Impressive.
Thank you.
I
We got
love
our. Oh, okay.
Truly impressive.
Everyone just like off.
Badass.
Thank you.
How long did that take to perfect?
8 minutes. 8 minutes.
Exactly.
It's all the time.
There is okay. If you watch Grease closely, there is an extra in Grease who is in every single scene, and he's also in a movie called Midnight Madness with Michael J. Fox that came out in the
Huge
80s.
Hug me.
Yes. So next time you watch Grease, watch for the extra. He's in the Grease lightning scene. He's got blonde hair. He's in the scene when they're on the bleachers, and then he went on to direct. Like, I've investigated this
Wow.
way too much in my life.
No, tell us. Teach.
He went on to direct a few sitcoms, and I think he's doing well in his life. But what's
his name?
I don't remember, but he is.
Now I
I
gotta
should know.
find out.
Every single scene, he's an extra of Grease, and he dances and sings and everything. And I like him a lot, and I appreciate him. And if he's listening, I just want to say hello. I'm sorry I forgot your name right now on La La Land Talk.
You would think they would have caught that in the editing room that he was in every
Possibly.
scene.
Maybe
but-
it's a buddy of somebody's or a friend of a friend or something like
He was
that.
a USC film student.
Okay.
He was an actor. He's a talented guy, and he had the look, he had the hair, the whole thing.
Was he also one of the background actors in Midnight Madness?
No,
or did
he's
he
one
have-
of the top 5 actors in Midnight Madness.
Okay, so
So if you look
trying
up
to think.
Midnight Madness on IMDb, just look up one of the top 5 guys.
I love that
and,
movie.
That's the guy in Grease. And he was in Grease 2 as an extra as well, still in high school 3 years later.
oh,
Was
struggling.
he a cool writer?
Not cool enough
Not
to
cool
burn
enough.
you through and through.
Oh,
Yes.
good to know. Very nicely done.
On
Thank
top
you.
of it.
We need somebody to look this up. This is the one
I
week
tried.
where
I-
You
Sophie,
guys
our
talk.
intern,
Okay, I'm
isn't
going to do
here.
it right
Yeah,
now.
you
I'm going
do
to do it right
that.
now. You guys talk about things, and I'm just going to look it up real quick.
We would normally have Sophie, our intern, do this, but she's off
Right.
today,
She's
this
off.
week.
That's
Yes.
nice. What's Sophie up to?
I don't know. I think she's on vacation, something like
good
that.
for her.
Yeah.
Well, well, she's an up and coming young actress herself, so I think she has an audition or a gig.
Okay, excellent. Something she's got to focus on.
Oh,
Break a leg,
Exactly.
Sophie.
Good.
Yeah.
something that's more important than retweeting for us. So whatever.
Clearly, nothing's more
Here's a
important.
question: Do you, you guys are you relatively proficient with the Twitter?
He is. I'm not quite as.
I think so.
Is it
proficient.
possible to unretweet something?
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
You hit the retweet button again, and it unretweets it. Absolutely. And then okay.
I got his name.
Go, go,
I'm
go.
sorry. I know you're talking about
I'm
unfollowing
No, it's
people
good.
on
so
Twitter.
excited.
I got the information I needed. Really.
Andy Tennant is his name.
Oh, Andy Tennant. Yeah, he
He-
directs all the time.
Yes. He is the man in Grease in the background, not the guy that does the penguin move, like bouncing up and down like that at the end. Who goes like that. This okay, that's it. I know it's
Oh.
useless information, and people are listening,
Andy
going,
Tennant.
"Wait!" But if you watch Grease and you like it, just watch from in every single scene. There you
Andy
go.
Tennant.
Okay.
That
Andy
name is
Tennant is his name.
extremely familiar. He directs a lot, I would think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And I've stalked him without him knowing. It's crazy. My fascination with him, starting in 1991, just went through the roof.
Because of your fascination having been engendered by seeing him over and over again as an extra in Grease, like in each and every scene.
Exactly.
I love that kind of eye, though, where you notice something and then you investigate, and here we are, all these years later, giving Andrew Tennant the respect he deserves.
Right.
Andrew Tennant had no idea that he was getting this much love on La La Land Talk.
Right.
That's so good.
You know,
How great it would be if he's
awesome.
just at
He's
home
a dancer
listening.
turned writer turned director.
Andrew
Yeah.
Tennant. I feel like I might have
Studied
worked with
under John Hausman at USC.
It's a fun name to say. John Houseman.
Yes.
So, Mac, I would like to say how much I loved you in Lost.
Oh,
That was so cool that you got to be in Lost. and
Boy,
I
oh
know
boy.
I'm not
Cool.
asking
Yeah.
questions, but my question is, can you just tell us from the first second you had an audition to booking it to filming it, the experience on that show?
all of it was spectacular. All of it was absolutely spectacular. There was actually kind of a funny backstory, which I mean, I think is within the bounds of good taste. That will probably take about 95 minutes to tell. So
All right.
I'll do it relatively quickly. The audition was pretty straightforward. There were 2 scenes. The character was a nice guy that is in one of Kate's flashbacks. They used to be boyfriend girlfriend when they were a lot younger. They hadn't seen each other in a long time, and for whatever reason, the audition went well and it was comfortable, and they liked me right away, which was great. So they said, "Hey, come play this part," and I got a pretty good paycheck to fly all the way to Hawaii to pretend like we were in Iowa, which was pretty
Right.
interesting because the flashback takes place in Iowa, but they shoot the film or the show in Hawaii. So we found a tree that looked less Hawaiian than Iowan, and shot the whole scene right around that tree. But this is where it gets kind of trippy. So, oh boy, whatever. So a couple of years before that, I was roommates with Dominic Monaghan. He and I, after Lord of the Rings finished, he moved to Los Angeles and was, getting a new manager and looking for a place to live. And I happened to live in a 2-bedroom house. And I was like, dude, let's why don't you move in? Because we
He
had
worked with your brother. And
yes, right. They were pals, and he and I hit it off gangbusters. We were into the same sorts of things. We must have played, umpteen hours of PlayStation 2, either beating each other up or chasing people around in a cop car or whatever. But things got a little funny. Things got a little strange. Things got a little weird. I was dating a girl who's a terrific actress that I had seen in a play and started dating, and she and I were into each other. But I was also sort of aware that it wasn't going to last forever, like that this wouldn't be the girl that I was going to marry. So
Because you have to have a few of those.
Yeah. You gotta
Those
you try on
relationships.
some shoes that don't fit
Exactly.
before you find the
happens.
glass slipper. All right.
Sometimes,
Right, sure.
By the way, if you mention one more girl you've dated during the show, you're walking home. You're Ubering. Seriously, your wife is back there. Now,
Oh,
8
man, that's
steam
so true.
holes are
You're
coming out right
Ubering.
now.
So-
That's like a verb.
So what happened was, the girl and I broke up, but I had introduced her and Dom, and they had become friends. And right after we broke up, I got a job in Toronto, so I was gone for 6 weeks. And Dom didn't have any other friends in Los Angeles. Basically, I mean, some of the guys from the shoot, but he and this girl, they just they hit it off, and they were tight. They were buddies. I completely either misread it or read too much into it or read it exactly on and thought, man, this is weird. This is a little funny. They're getting tight. This is strange. I feel awkward about it. Now, in the big picture, everything was on the square. The girl and I had broken up. They were hanging out. Everything's, okay. But still, I got back from Toronto where I was working, and it was like, oof, this just feels weird. She would come over to hang out with him. And this was like, it was awkward and didn't feel so good. And also, there were a couple of messages that I heard on the outgoing on the machine when I was working in Toronto from her to him that really kind of, I don't know, betrayed.
And you guys had a voicemail machine?
Yes. This was I fought the cell phone thing. I had one of the
Okay.
original cell phones when they first came out, and then I lost it, and I fought the cell phone thing until 2006. Long story. But anyway, there were a couple of messages that to me said, there's something going on there. And big picture, totally on the square, totally okay. She and I had broken up, but still kind of utsy.
Yeah.
Kind of utsy. So eventually he gets the job on Lost. He moves out. It never really, we're friendly today if we run into each other, but there was always a bit of a didn't feel great kind of thing there. 2 years go by. Lost explodes. It's a huge, huge show. He and Evangeline Lilly happen to start going out on the show. They're dating in real life.
Yeah.
And then I get hired to play a guy that she knows from her past
Full circle.
and fly to Hawaii to sit in a car with his girlfriend and make out with her.
Yes.
My sister-in-law, God bless her, says, I don't usually believe in God, but this kind of story, it really came full circle. And though we were very professional and there was nothing was untoward and it was all
Give me the
okay,
wink if you went a little hot and heavy in that.
here's what happened.
Okay.
I don't know why it happened like this, but there was part of me that was definitely, felt like I was getting what I deserved, which is, kind of foolish looking at it now as a grown man, yada, yada. But the director was a guy that I'd worked with before, and he didn't know the story at all. And it was just his choice to shoot it the way he shot it, which was from 4 different angles with 3 different lens sizes, about 4 different takes each time. Yes. So if you do the math,
16.
that's a lot of making out with the guy's girlfriend for money.
Good for you. Very good,
It was
Mac.
unbelievable.
Very nice.
Very good.
So that's
Very
that's
nice.
my Lost story. It's actually
Nice.
it's a lot more I don't know sad than I did thought it was gonna be. The production itself was a blast. I had a good time there. They were a lot of fun.
What a great show.
Never saw Monahan while I was there. He was
Oh.
yeah.
He was avoiding you.
Well,
I bet he was.
This is going to be so awkward next time we run into each other. It'd be like, Mark, so I was listening to La La Totland. So stupid.
Nothing personal, Dominic. Nothing.
No,
nothing
he's a
personal.
good guy. And, they were friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish.
I actually saw something online about him.
Uh-oh.
Someone took a screenshot of their phone of him like texting like crazy for a girl to come over to his house.
Well, I mean,
like just overly texting. I don't know if it's
Was
true. I
it
don't
the
know.
same? Was it the same girl?
oh my God.
That-
It was.
No,
the
she's
one.
married now to a lovely man. I think she's got kids as well.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Different
all
girl.
worked out. Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. I'm gonna get in so
No,
much
you,
trouble.
you said nothing bad. This was like 12 years ago or more, though. You're
Yeah,
fine.
really
Just
didn't say
about.
anything.
It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
water.
you're good.
Water under the bridge.
Well, one of the things that kind of fascinates me about you, Mackenzie, and I was watching in preparation, in research for this interview, I was watching Up Close with Mackenzie.
Oh
Astor.
my goodness gracious me!
It was
Oh, Brett, I'm so sorry. That is,
you know what?
43
It was
minutes of your life you're never going to
awesome.
get back.
awesome stuff. But what fascinated me about you in that interview is you're 14 years old, and you're talking already at that time. You were talking about how there's a Mackenzie Aston who's on screen,
Right.
and there's a Mac Aston, which is the guy obviously that
Sure,
you,
yeah.
sure.
you
that
knew.
Stryker
Yeah.
knows that
Yeah.
my wife is married to. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Can you tell us
interesting.
about the difference?
Oy,
Because
oy.
even at 14, you recognize that, and I think that's very mature. Can you tell us?
Well, in some ways, it's. I mean, there's a certain mode that those of us who are in the arts that are in the media, there's a certain mode that we all sort of click into when it comes time to do something on the air, if you will. And I think it's the true. I think it's the same for everybody. Where there's a certain. You're either on or you're just aware that you're being watched, and that what you say and do will be heard for, I don't know, ever, in perpetuity throughout the known universe. And so there's a bit of caution. And because I come from a couple of successful actors, that were well known before I was even born, there's a certain amount of caution that's built in already because of you're not just responsible for your own behavior, but you're responsible for the reflection upon them. And this is something that I don't know if it was instilled specifically by our folks, but it's something that I've always felt. There's a line in the movie Quiz Show that's just fantastic when the father and son are arguing because the son is basically admitting to his dad that he's been cheating the country, that the show Quiz Show has been rigged and that he's been getting the answers. And they quote Shakespeare back and forth, and it's beautiful, powerful stuff. And at one point, the son, I forget what the line is that he makes the argument, and the father says, "But your name is mine." And the son is suddenly saddled with the fact that his behavior is he's not only responsible for his behavior, but his behavior reflects tremendously on his parents. And so there has always been a big deal of responsibility that I have felt in the public forum for to try to reflect well upon my parents, because they worked hard for the fame that they have and the notoriety that they have, and it wouldn't be right to take anything away from them because of my own foibles. Now, off camera, off the air, I used to be a real rascal and participated in a great deal of behavior about which I am not proud, but has made me who I am today. I'm thankful that I got through all that stuff. And
Now, what age are you talking about when you were a rascal? Because I remember a few things.
oh boy,
No, nothing bad.
I would say probably from like 17 to 37.
Okay, so 17 to 39 and a half.
the rascal years.
Pretty much,
The rascal
pretty
years.
much right in the middle there. I don't know. I mean, it didn't get really bad towards the end, but I was misbehaving pretty good. And the funny thing is that I guess what's fortunate is that all of the trouble that I had didn't take place within the public eye. There was a long-standing. It's kind of a joke now. Excuse me, that teen idols or teen stars or people that worked in their teens in the 80s have all been arrested, gone to rehab, have huge drug problems, and are real troublemakers that can't succeed. And I will say that 3 out of 4 of that is true with me. I just couldn't get arrested in this town. I mean, but I had all the struggles that you hear that Todd Bridges had, that you hear that Dana Plato had, that God rest her soul, that that all that Corey, both the Coreys had,
Yeah.
but without doing so in the public eye, which is good fortune not just for me but for my parents, and for my brother.
How did you manage to stay out of it?
I know. I was about to say.
I have no fucking idea because I literally couldn't get arrested.
All right.
I mean, I don't know, grace of God, just lucky, really just fortunate. And I left LA for a stretch, and thankfully went someplace where I was able to meet my wife, who helped me get my life together. But for a while there, man, I was acting a fool. I was I was up to the devil's
because
business.
you never hear about it. You never hear about any sort of trouble
It's
that you ever got
amazing.
into. You and Sean too.
It's amazing. Well, Sean is as square as they come. Sean has 4 90-degree angles, and he's an equilateral polygon. That guy,
Wow.
Gotcha.
he don't drink, he don't smoke. He is as square as they come, which is terrific for him, terrific for his kids, terrific for his sensibilities. I was the guy that was trying to find the guy all the time. Shame on me.
But I think it's to meet someone who has come out on the other side and said, okay, and to admit that you had those rascally days, but that you're moving towards something else. I mean, that's something to.
Yeah, it certainly is, and credit where credit is due. I had a lot of help. There were all the king's horses and all the king's men that helped put Humpty together again. And I was pretty fortunate to come out the other side. And truth be told, it's actually put me in a position to actually be able to advise folks that I know that are struggling still in a manner that actually has been there, which is pretty a good place to be. So far so good. So far so good. Yeah.
That is
Just
good.
wait till you have kids. You're gonna be
Congratulations.
so screwed.
That's the thing. Yeah. No, that'll be. Yeah. Oh, cheers.
There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Cheers.
What about you, Stryker?
Yeah,
Did you ever
Ted,
get into
let's-
that crazy trouble? Did you have that time in your life as well? Are
Not,
you currently
not
going through that
necessarily.
time?
No. Like I
Here we
feel.
go.
I was always in terms of my teens and young years, I was really, I think, an okay kid.
Yep.
And it's one thing your dad always said to me. He's like, "You're such a good boy. You're so good. You should get this and this." I'm like, "God,
that
you're so
voice,
nice."
yeah.
Yeah, his dad has
Oh, man.
such a great voice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I was a late bloomer, mentally, physically, the whole thing. And I just think because of that, I mean, I was a little wild, but I didn't have to go through anything that Mac had to go through. I mean, that's tough. You're growing up with 2 celebrity parents.
Right.
Your brother's a celebrity. You're a celebrity. You're on Facts of Life, but you're trying to live a normal life.
Right.
And then you're getting older, and you don't look like a 12-year-old anymore. And it's tough.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And I didn't really answer your question for sure, but no, nothing remotely close as to what he's referring to.
Okay.
But I
Kinda had it
mean,
easy.
my life was a little different. I mean, I was maybe in the same neighborhood and went and did the same things, but I wasn't in entertainment until I was like 22 years old.
Is it a true about you being a former pool boy?
Yeah, I worked at the Four Seasons Hotel.
Totally.
In 1994. At the
Wow.
Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. And when you, obviously that is a very, very fancy hotel, but when you work at the pool, it's 10% less nice as it is on the inside, right? So you're not supposed to fraternize, but how could I not fraternize with everybody at the pool? And I was running that pool like the godfather of a pool. If you ever saw the movie with Matt Dillon, which I can't think of the name, where he works at a beach club, like in
Flamingo
the
Kid?
That's the
Flamingo
one.
Kid, I was him. I was not a waiter. I was not a busboy. I was the person that greeted all the folks that came to the pool and was in charge of who sat where. So nobody had a cell phone then.
Nice.
Right.
And so someone would come down at 5 p.m. and they'd say, "Hey, where's the best sun tomorrow at 11 a.m.?" I'm like, "Well, of course, the best sun comes from the right side and shines over there. Hey, can you reserve those 2 seats for me?" I'm not allowed to reserve seats. I just can't do it. Reach into their pocket, give me $20. I'm like, "I can reserve those seats." And I would say something like, "Do you want the newspaper? What newspaper do you like?" I like the New York Times." I would have that on their chair. They would get that. And the Four Seasons wasn't necessarily a family-oriented vacation spot. It was a lot of businessmen and women. There was a lot of people in entertainment staying there.
Sure.
And I worked that pool so hard. Someone would come down. I knew they were on business. "Are you expecting any calls?" "Well, a couple. Here's what I'll do. I got 50-foot-long
Yes.
phone extensions.
Genius.
And I would plug them into this
I love
plug
it.
that I had, work it around the flower pots at the Four Seasons pool, and put the phone next to them. And then I would call the operator. I said, "If there's any calls for Mr. Smith, put them to me," and then I put them to the guy on the phone.
Fantastic.
And that was my experience working at the Four Seasons. It was 7 months. It was fun. It was worth it. It was hard. It was the last job I had before my little radio thing I do.
Right.
Wow.
That's customer service right there.
It is customer
That's good.
service.
And-
and the schmooze
care of
is
those
still is
people.
alive and well. Like I was at my husband works for ICM, and so we were at the company Christmas party on Thursday, and it was at Mr. C. in that
Oh,
new
yeah.
place on Pico.
Right.
Really cool. Yeah, very nice bite. And I pull up in like my tiny Pontiac, and he's already been there. And then we go back, and the next morning he goes, I found the funniest thing in my car today. I said, what did you find? He goes, an actor left their headshot in my
his car?
In the car. I was like, seriously?
Oh, they left it there so he could see them and maybe
Yes.
sign them to the
Was it
agency.
the valet
Yes.
guy?
I mean,
Was
I
the guy
figured
The
it was a-
valet. The valet
No,
left
you
their...
back.
I figured it was a good idea. I recognized the car. I thought, this
Right.
might help.
No,
You know
my husband's car is nicer, but they clearly didn't leave it in my tiny Pontiac, but they left it in his car, and it was really funny.
One more mention of Pontiac, we're getting you a deal, just so you know.
I know.
You're 2 Pontiacs in.
Well, it is an Equinox, so we're still in the Chevrolet family.
There you go. One thing about the Four Seasons, a couple things that I remember. One is when I go back, remember this is 1993, 94. Some of the employees are still there.
Wow.
So I see them. There's one guy named Alan who works at the bar and a guy named Dan who works there. It's so crazy. It's like 20 years ago seeing them, but it feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
And number 2, some of the clientele I run into.
How funny.
And it's such a different,
Yeah.
it's so different now. Like I was their servant.
Right.
Now,
I served them. I was such a good worker. And now seeing them, it's just, and they say very nice complimentary things. It's really cool.
Well, have they ever been a guest? Has anyone that you were...
There's
you?
been
For you?
celebrity guests, but the people that I'm thinking of are more the business people who stayed
okay.
there maybe every 2 weeks.
Right, on a
and I
regular
got to know
basis,
them a
yeah.
little bit. Right, like
Yeah.
one guy owned a minor league baseball team. People like owned makeup companies, huge lawyers for that sort of thing.
That must be so great for the guys that still work there to see young Stryker having made good, and
Now
out
they're
there,
listening to you on the radio.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. So I've got a question for you, if that's all right, Ted.
yes.
Because I know I did I was a guest on one of your shows in the early days. I would guess around 1998.
Now was that in Tucson?
You were in Tucson, yeah. And
Right.
I remember there was a movie. It was either The Last Days of Disco or In Love and War. One of those two films that I had worked on that was coming out, and maybe it was through your little brother. I forget how we got put in touch with one another, but you were like, dude, come, will you call in and do my show? And I was like, absolutely. And this, I will admit to you now,
Oh, God.
I'm terribly embarrassed. But the night before, man, I stayed up late and I was hung
Really?
over on your show. When the phone rang, I was still in bed and I had no idea what was going on. And you're all right, dude, we're going to be on the air in about 2 minutes. You good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So what was the station? Who were you?
The station, that station in particular was called 92.1 KFMA.
Okay.
I was part of the first ever alternative rock station in Tucson. No stations at the time were playing Nirvana and Green Day and Alice in Chains and those kind of bands. So I was part of that startup station, and I was doing the morning show on there.
Right.
And that's the last show I ever did in Tucson. Not the one with you, but I went from mornings to K-Rock.
Amazing.
Wow.
And,
How did that happen? How did you get? I mean,
So lucky. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe how lucky I am. So I was working in Tucson. My station was on a dirt road, but still people would listen. And I was terrible on the radio, a little less terrible or more terrible than I am now. But it was somebody from K-Rock that worked with K-Rock heard me doing the morning show. And Carson Daly was on K-Rock, and he had left K-Rock to do MTV full-time.
Right.
And so they were looking for a full-time person. They had only hired, I believe it was 2 full-time people in the last 10 years before that.
wow.
And they called me like, send us your stuff. So I sent them a tape, a best of. And then the head guy at K-Rock, his name's Kevin Weatherly, still the head guy, even higher than he is now. He's like in charge of CBS something. I don't know his title. It's something a good title. Right. And he's like, record the show tomorrow and send it to me. And then I'm thinking, oh man, I can't stink tomorrow. I was so nervous. I sent him the tape. He said, he said, can you come out when he got it? He listened. He's like, can you come out this Friday? I said, yes. I flew out on a Friday, and I remember that night, Marilyn Manson and Hole were doing a show together.
Okay.
And he's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I don't know. I'm hanging out here. He's like, do you want to intro the bands on stage?
Holy cow!
And I'm
Nice.
like, yeah, I guess so. I'd love to do that. And then he's like, no, forget that. What are you doing in an hour? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you want to go on the air? I'm like, all right, I guess so. So here I am going from a dirt road radio station, which is a good station, and we work so hard. And the station KFMA in Tucson, it was 3 of us running this radio station.
Wow.
All of us did 11 jobs.
Right, yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I'm on the 9th floor in a building in Burbank looking over the 134 at 7 p.m. on a Friday night, and I'm talking on the radio.
Unbelievable.
And I got the job, and I've been there since 1999.
Holy cow.
Somehow, I don't know how.
Wow.
Oh, thanks.
How did KFMA feel about you leaving to the big city to
They
do
were
a big
very
show?
excited.
Good.
They were very, very excited about it.
That's awesome.
Talk
Yeah.
about out of the frying pan into the fire, or trial by fire. I mean, that's great. It's like somebody, you know, throwing, you know, it's like a parent throwing the kid into the deep end of the pool to see if they can pull it off. And
Right.
Bam,
And-
you swam. You
and
swam.
although I'm from LA, but I knew and still kind of know like nothing about the entertainment business. And right when I started at K-Rock, you know, guys like Jimmy Kimmel worked there, and Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla and
Sure.
Carson, like all these people were like, "Do you need an agent? Do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need this? Do you need that?" And then I
You're
just
like,
I wish
I
I,
don't know, do I?
knew a little. You're right. I wish I knew a little more then and took advantage of things a little more then. But times are so different on radio then, where mystique was such an important word. Where it was like you don't really want people to see you and all this stuff, and I was a huge believer in that.
Now it's like you want people to see you.
Exactly.
I mean, everything's streamed.
Here's my
digitally
Twitter.
like this.
Contact me anytime. I've given out my cell phone number on the air quite a bit, and I don't change the number. I'm like, call
Yeah.
me anytime you want.
I've seen you tweet that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's he doing? He's good.
I don't care. I'm like, you want to call me? I'll talk to you. I don't only have 2 friends in my life. I could use a few more.
That's fearless.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, I know it's hard to pick, but do you have like one interview that was really, really good that you enjoyed?
I'd say my
Particularly?
favorite, one of my favorite, there's been a lot, and I've been very, very lucky to have any job, but I'd say one of my most favorite is one day on the radio I was talking about Dave Grohl, and he's so good, and this and
Yeah.
that, and this was probably 8 or 9 years ago, and then I mentioned in the same sentence, like, wow, man, I really could use a whiskey drink right now. He showed up at work the next day.
What?
By himself with a flask
What?
that he signed with whiskey and a flask for him.
What?
He walks into the studio like, here you go. And we had whiskey on the radio.
Are you
And we
kidding?
talked and we did about a 25-minute interview.
Oh, my God.
And that was probably my biggest highlight, I'd say. I mean, what a genuine, very nice guy he is.
That's
And
amazing.
I think he's a
Wow.
Paul McCartney of my generation.
Interesting.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love Dave.
That's wild. So he was just listening and got a good vibe and decided to come on down.
Yes.
That is spectacular.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Fearless. Fearless.
Yeah, definitely.
Now,
Fearless
is he
and-
the one? Are they recording their next album all analog? Was that what
They did that on the last one. This new one, he said they're doing something that's never been done before. And I
Ooh,
asked him what that is, and he said, I'm not telling you.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
They're
But
gonna-
there's been many experiences, like living in LA, you never, like my attitude from day one was, and I don't know why I thought of it, like you never know who's listening in that second. You never know. So A, don't suck. And that's hard for me not to be terrible, but I do my best. And number 2 is, again, you never know. Like I've had so many different people come up to me. It's been like 10 years. Oh, I heard you mention this, and I actually worked on that movie, and that was really nice what you said 10 years ago about some experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you could give advice to somebody starting out in radio, you would say,
You never know who's
You
listening.
never know who's
Like
listening.
when the guy heard
Yeah.
me on in Tucson on KFMA. Like one if it was an off day, or one if I stayed up all night that night, or one if I just I didn't really feel like working hard that day, or the
Right.
bit I was doing. You know, who knows?
It happened.
What is it? What they
Yeah.
say? Like luck is preparedness plus opportunity.
Right. The residue of design.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
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 You have to really, you know where you're going. And also, whenever I listen to you, you're not someone that's like could always talking about how down you are. That's not your
helps.
gig.
No, I'm not a down person.
That's
I'm
not
very
your thing.
excited.
You leave
I'm
that to
almost
your
too
daughter.
excited sometimes.
Exactly. You know, it's an infectious energy. So I think
Thanks.
if people want to listen and kind of go, oh yeah, you're right, life sucks, then they're going to tune into somebody else. But if they want to, keep their vibe going, especially in LA where everything can kind of sort of bring you down, that a positive energy is something to really keep going. So
That's so
I've-
true.
I feel like
That's so
I've
true.
I've been like that
Mm-hmm.
my whole life, but I also feel like at the same time that whole like I'm so down, things stink, I'm gonna be a bad dude, I'm not gonna talk to people. That is out now.
Yeah.
And bands that are jerks these days, like you can be a rock star and nice, and there's a fine line between the people you're playing to
Mm-hmm.
and you on the stage. Maybe a little bit how you dress, maybe the way you talk, maybe this and that. But the jerks, people just do not
they
like it
tune
anymore.
them out.
Yeah.
They literally.
They do, and I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
That's really great to hear,
Yes.
actually, because negativity. Well, there can be quite a bit of it in this town, and it's nice to know that it appears to be becoming less popular. Because that's we all need more positivity.
We do. And also, you remember, we were just talking before the show how like we have the same agent for a little while, and we remember everyone fondly. Like that's the way you want to be remembered and remember other people.
Right.
Keep it open. Don't
Yeah.
remember one of our sayings here. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
We say that every week.
That's
all the time.
fantastic.
True.
Don't be an asshole.
Seriously, don't be an asshole. Seriously. Just
Hey, honey,
don't.
Absolutely.
Can you write that down for me?
And Brett, I feel bad because this whole interview for 51 minutes so far, I've been looking to my right, and I'm going to glance at you now.
I was
'cause
offended
you're
personally.
very-
Glance at you.
Yeah, I'm
I
going to
was
stare
upset.
at you. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
We're talking with Ted Stryker and Mackenzie Aston. Guys, last chance to get in on this conversation. Call us at 323-473-3100, 323-473-3100. I want to ask you one more thing, too,
Yes.
Stryker. You worked in Tucson, you worked in LA. Can you tell us about the differences between working in the two markets?
Well, first off, I'm doing the exact goddamn thing.
Okay.
Do you remember in the movie Hoosiers when they were playing in the state finals and
Oh,
they
yeah.
walked in and they're looking at the stadium and they're like, oh my God, look at this. So then Gene Hackman, he puts the tape to the rim and they're like, how high is that? Like 10 feet, like the free throw line, whatever the distance is. Like, you'll notice these distances are the same as our little gym in Hickory. I'm doing the same thing. I think I've improved a little bit. And so it's just really the amount of people listening. But one real difference is in Tucson, I was in charge of the morning show. I was the music director. I was the assistant program director. I was
Right.
there at 4:30 in the morning, and I left at 6 at night.
Wow.
And sometimes I had to get there always at 4:30, but sometimes I'd work at 6 at night, eat, and then host some ridiculous club night somewhere. And I had to set up all the equipment, drive the van, put up the banners, clean it up, drive the van back, get my car, get home at 3 in the morning, and then be back and work an hour and a half.
Yikes.
So much, but it was so fun.
That's where
I
you
can't
learn the most, right?
I learned the most, and it was just so we would sit there and go like, I can't believe they're letting us three nitwits run this radio station. What is wrong with these people? Well, they're such idiots. How are we doing this? And in LA, for the most part, my job is I better be prepared when I'm on the radio.
Yeah.
I better do a good job. There's a lot at stake monetarily when the ratings move in Los Angeles radio. If I get to do an interview with, say, a band like Arctic Monkeys, who is now like one of the biggest bands headlining festivals, I better not stink. I better not stink. If Dave Grohl's coming in, don't stink. There's a
and have your whiskey.
Right, have your whiskey.
Have
There
your
is a
whiskey
lot
ready.
of room for suckiness when you're in a smaller market. You shouldn't stink,
Right.
But you're allowed to stink a little more there.
But you also, I think, because you did everything, that there's not a feeling of helplessness. I'm sure, like even when you got to the big market, you're like, oh, I can handle this. I don't. Are you kidding? All I have to do is talk.
Right.
That's amazing. It's like when I direct a show and then all of a sudden I'm in a show. I'm like, all I have to do is act. That's it. That's so cool.
Best. Tell everyone about Out of Order real quick.
Yes.
for-
Oh, Out of Order it's a show that it's a syndicated show that I do once a week, and it's on in many markets, and it's a countdown show. It's like a Ryan Seacrest show, but it's rock music, and it's the top 20 songs of the country every week. But instead of playing them 20, 19, 18, 17, I play them number 5, then I'll play number 13, then I'll play 4. And I have many artists on every week that help with the countdown and interviews, and that's when I play back my phone messages that people call me during the week on my cell, and all the drunk people calling and
Oh, good
breathing
times.
heavy and
Good times.
Nice.
that sort of thing. And so it's called Out of Order. It's outofordershow.com, but you can find me on Twitter, and I don't know. That's it. That's all it is.
At Ted Stryker on Twitter.
That's STRYKER.
Right. And you're Mackenzie Aston, whose photo is the Dodgers logo.
Yeah, I've stuck with that for a while now. Well, it was a pretty darned exciting season for us last
it
year.
was.
And when I say us, I mean lumping myself in with the team because being from Los Angeles, you tend to be a pretty big Dodger fan.
You bleed blue.
Very, very exciting. Very exciting year. A little bit of a tough ending, but hey, we got where we got into the postseason. That's exciting. It's going to be an exciting year coming up next year. Hopefully, we can re-sign Juan Uribe. There was some talk he's maybe thinking about should the Chicago White Sox, now the Marlins. I don't know. I'd like to hang on to that guy.
I like that guy. He seems nice.
What a wonderful story last year. There was he had been. And I'm going to segue into the baseball. He had been signed to a 3-year contract with us and stunk it up for the first 2 years, Juan Uribe, and then came to life this last season and has always been fantastic defensively and saved a ton of runs in the hot corner playing third base. He's fantastic, but he came to life with the bat, and there was a game where he hit 3 home runs late in the season, I think sometime in August, and it was at home, so 2 or 3 guys, I think it was either Hanley or Yasi, pushed him up to take a curtain call, and he got a curtain call from from, probably 45,000 fans who had sworn this guy to be the worst in the world over the last couple of years. It was such a beautiful, redemptive moment. And honey, I'm not afraid to admit it. I did cry. I was. It was just so
Wow.
beautiful to see a guy who, had signed a big contract and had taken it on the chin for a while, finally come through and finally succeed and do what he's capable of. So, if you're listening, Juan, me gusta mucho. Tú eres mi favorito, third baseman. That's it. That's all I got.
I
Love
concur. I concur with everything he said. Can I
Go
mention one
Dodgers.
thing before you let us go?
Please.
So, some of my most fond memories are because of Mac Aston and his family.
Oh, yeah.
On Halloween every single year, I looked forward more than anything, besides getting my pillowcase and my Barbasol shaving cream, which I would put a pin in the spray part and melt it so it could shoot somewhere between 12 and 16 feet, and buying eggs in my pillowcase. It was going to the Aston house because they did it up.
Really?
It was such a cool house. You would walk up there. They had the lights. They had more decorations for Halloween than any house in our neighborhood. And I don't know if this would happen now, they would allow people in the house. So they had, from what I remember, you walked in the front door and somehow you walked around through all these rooms and you came out almost like a door that was like 5 feet away from the front door, right?
Yeah, there was a side door that was
Right.
You could go back down the steps in the front. So we had sort of a haunted house within the house that was haunted on the outside.
Exactly.
It was
Right.
spectacular, and I wish I could take
so
some
fun.
credit for it, but it's all my old man and his 3 older boys and my mom just having a good time. And it was legendary. The UCLA students would come. All the freshmen and sophomore. There'd be this huge hordes. There was a line around the corner.
Yeah.
For our Halloween house. Man,
It
it
was
was a good
so
time.
fun. Now, you were living there at the time, right?
Yeah.
How many times did you sleep at our house? Once or twice? Because I know your brother slept over quite a few times.
Yeah, probably once or twice. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It might have been when the folks had work and we had baseball games the following morning.
Right, I think that's
so.
what it was.
I definitely remember riding in with your old man one day. That's so funny. I think I remember feeling guilty, like I'm riding in the Giants car. This isn't okay.
Can you post some of these pictures of your house to our Facebook or something? I would
I
love
don't
to
know.
see these.
I haven't seen a picture. I'm sure my pop has some, in a storage facility in Hamden, but I haven't seen pictures of the haunted house. I don't know though if I ever have. I'm sure there's somewhere
sounds
though,
awesome.
because it was pretty. I mean, gravestones, the cobwebs, the music, the dry ice.
Walking into the house,
Going
walking into the Aston house, going through all these rooms.
Yeah.
It was really, really a fun
My
experience.
3 older
cool.
brothers had a terrific time scaring the pants off of the neighborhood. Yeah. back when that was still legal.
Sure.
It's not- except for the shaving cream thing.
Right, except for the Barbasol shaving cream.
Yeah.
Pontiac, she bought Barbasol.
And that's 3.
That's yeah.
We accept sponsorships, Pontiac.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Red Bull, you got Red Bull involved here?
Yeah, love
There we
it.
go.
All kinds of places. Mackenzie Aston and Ted Stryker, thank you so much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. It was really fun to hang out with you guys. If you ever want, I'll come back anytime to clean the floor or speak.
Please.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
preferably speak.
And you guys are great at what you do. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You can find them on tedstryker.com or at Ted Stryker on Twitter, STRYKER, or at Mackenzie Aston on Twitter.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, bye, everybody.
All
Up
right.
next, we have with us Devin Kelly and Jonathan White from the Pasadena Playhouse. They're going to be talking with us about the ALS event coming up
Yes.
very, very soon.
All right.
All right. Quick break. We'll be back on La La Land with Brett and Dorothy on LA Talk Live.
This is Brett Chapin.
And this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue, inviting you to join us every Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time for our show, La La Land Talk.
Join us as we talk with some of the top talent in LA. Artists' untold stories, your phone calls, and live on-location broadcasts have made La La Land one of the best sources in LA for everything entertainment.
So don't forget to tune in to La La Land Talk.
Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com.
Saturdays at noon Pacific Time. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk, Twitter, twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk. I think we've got a Shakespeare monologue or two we could do. Yeah.
Jazz hands.
Kickball change.
Good
That's
stuff.
what I'm saying. Mm-hmm.
I'll do some Pippin.
Ooh, yeah. Some miming. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez.
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
On LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Barbara Perkins, inviting you to join us every Sunday afternoon at 2:40 for Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Join us as we share stories about current events, jazz events, business opportunities, health and wellness, entertainment, and so much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is John McClure Jr., a.k.a. Simply John, and I would like to invite you to join us on GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com on LA Talk Live. And we're more than just talk. Remember, it's a heaven's party here on earth. So live life, love God.
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host, Ferran Dozier. I'm inviting you to join me on WDC Radio every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we discuss community topics around health, sports, and entertainment. So don't forget to shout us out. What's the count? On WDC Radio, only on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. What's the count?
Hi, this is Jean Noel Bassior, inviting you to join me for my new show, The Book Beat, Monday evenings at 6:30 p.m. I'll be talking to authors about their latest book so you can find a fantastic read. But more than that, I'll be talking to experts about how you can write your own book and get it published. So tune in on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. And remember, you can catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to the Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back to Smooth Jazz here. Welcome back to La La Land on LA Talk Live. That's Dorothy Dillingham Blue. I'm Brett Chapin.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much to Ted Stryker and Mackenzie Aston for joining us earlier on this special 2-hour extended episode number 140 of La La Land Talk. And we are joined right now by Jonathan White and Devin Kelly of the ALS benefit coming up at the Pasadena Playhouse.
Great, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us on here.
It is wonderful to be back, and I love that you're doing these 2 hours now. Is that going to be a regular thing, or is that just...
Just for today.
Okay. Just for
today.
Yeah, special extended episode for today.
How exciting.
It's a very special occasion. So.
Yes.
Glad
we
to be
like
here.
it. Yep.
Excited to have you. We're gonna have our friend Stephanie Hayslip calling in too around 12:45.
Wonderful, wonderful, and she's just joined the Sister Act tour.
Yes,
didn't she?
She's gonna tell us all about her fun in the national tour,
which is very exciting.
That is so fun.
We saw that this summer at the Pantages.
Yeah, one of the best things we saw all year. We see a lot of shows, but that was a standout. So much fun.
it was resplendent, and it actually began at the Pasadena Playhouse in 2006. That was where the show originated, and then it went to the West End, and they worked on it a little bit more, and then it went to Broadway, and they worked on it even more, and it launched the career of Patina Miller, who
Yes, she won the Tony.
for Pippin just now.
Yeah,
and
she's incredible.
She was nominated for Sister
she
Act
was
as well.
nominated for Sister Act.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I remember that.
well, that'll be great when Stephanie
Stephanie's,
calls.
she's been on the tour about a week, and she's going to
Great.
tell us all about what she's been doing.
Well, that'll
last
be
week.
very exciting.
Yes, absolutely. But before we get to Stephanie, tell us about this ALS benefit at the Pasadena Playhouse coming up in January.
Well, this is a benefit. It's called One Starry Night, Hollywood Coming Together to Fight ALS. ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And we're just getting a bunch of amazing artists together to come, have a great show. It's kind of 50s, 60s variety themed. It's going to be at the Pasadena Playhouse on Monday, January 13th at 8 p.m. And it's just raising funds that's going to support the incredible research and the work that the ALS Association Golden West chapter does to both work towards finding a cure for ALS and also to support the families and people who have ALS in California. So it's for a very wonderful, crucial, important cause because it's a disease that is really very devastating and doesn't get kind of the marquee level treatment that some of the other, equally dire illnesses do. And so we're glad to be able to kind of lend our name and our cause and get all these great people together to help support.
And how did that come to be? Was that something that you personally were interested in, or someone
at
Pasadena?
My co-producer, Juliana Hansen, who's going to be on La La Land in 2 weeks, and I were both feeling like we wanted to do something to support the ALS Association because we were just in complete admiration of their work and what they do, and feeling like we wanted to give them this kind of glamorous, glitzy theatrical presence. And then in later talking with them, they're so thrilled that there was going to be a theatrical event supporting them because they do so much every year, so many walks and bike-a-thons and stuff like that. But it's been a while since they've done anything entertainment-wise, theatrical-wise. So they were very, very excited, and they've been wonderful partners to work on this. And we have great people who are part of it. Melora Hardin from The Office, Jean Louisa Kelly from Yes Dear, Oba Babatunde, who is fantastic, Daisy Egan. So there are going to be a lot of wonderful artists who are going to be a part of it. And we're just very glad that it's all kind of coming together, and it's less than a month away. And Devin is going to be singing and also playing some violin.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, Jonathan and I are married, and it's it just sort of goes without saying. I want to help him out with this cause no matter what. It's been such an incredible ride, finding that so many people want to be helpful throughout this process. People want to donate their time, their talents, and I definitely wanted to be a part of that. And I'm a musician, and I figured, well, yeah, I can help out with this. I'm not a huge name, but I absolutely wanted to lend my talent to this because that's about all I have to offer, and luckily it's something that people are interested in.
You're a huge name here on La La Land
Oh,
Talk.
thank you so much.
And I tend to be very, I really dive in when I'm working on something like this, and I kind of treat the people who have joined us in the same way. I'll be frequently communicating and trying to get everybody to really do all that they can, even on a personal grassroots level, to spread the word and to make sure the tickets get sold and to make sure that the event is publicized as much as it possibly can be. And I am very fortunate with this particular benefit in that everybody's been very receptive to that and has been doing all they can and, tweeting and posting and sending out all the emails to their lists that they can and just being very supportive, which is fantastic. And it makes my job and Juliana's job as co-producer and Bruce Kimmel, who is writing and directing the show, even easier.
We have a caller on the line for you, Jonathan and Kelly. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Hello. Hi, who's this?
LA Talk Live?
Yes, it is. Is this Stephanie Hayslip? No. What's your question, caller?
LA Talk Live.
Yes, it is LA Talk Live.
Oh, because I have to be giving the number to someone to dial into the next show that's coming.
Oh, okay. Is that Stephanie?
Thank you. Trench Talk?
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Oh.
And this is live radio. Sometimes you can get odd things
unpredictable.
Like that. Yeah, you never know. You never know.
I'd go further and say that's one of the pleasures of live radio.
I think so.
You never know what's coming. And
It's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, I think the thing about your benefit is it's really easy event for people to get behind. A lot of people have personal experience with ALS. Maybe they know a family member, or they've lost a family member, and I think it's an easy event for people to get behind.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, when people learn about, first of all, a lot of people still aren't quite sure what ALS is, but when you explain it to them further, they realize that, they have a friend of a friend who, lost a relative to it. I mean, the statistics on it are staggering. Every 90 minutes, somebody worldwide is diagnosed, and every 90 minutes, somebody loses their battle. And of course, right now, there is no cure. So if you receive a diagnosis, it is terminal, and The progressions can vary, but it's a really, really tragic thing to have happened.
Mhm.
Amy Paffrath, who is a wonderful performer and TV host who is a part of the benefit, she lost her father to it a few years ago, and that was her the first time she became aware of the disease at all. But obviously, since that happened to her family, she's been a great supporter of the Golden West chapter, and she reached out to me, and she and her husband Drew, who's a great Broadway actor and was in Little Mermaid on Broadway as Prince Eric, said, anything we can do to help, we'll do. And so they joined the lineup, and we brought them in. But it's great when people kind of come forward and say, this has really affected me. I want to be as supportive as I possibly can. Anything you guys need, which is something that talking about this illness just kind of creates. It creates that urgency for people to really step up and do whatever they can. And there's really no level of support that's too small or that's too great. Just
Mhm.
anything that kind of comes our way, we appreciate.
That's something that's been so remarkable about being a part of this is, when he even first started producing on this benefit and finding out all this information, of course, I had heard of ALS. I really didn't know that much about it. And so personally, it brought into my scope a greater knowledge of what people with ALS face. And I found that as we talk about this benefit to people, we are bringing a lot of information to some people who may not know all about it. They may have heard of Lou Gehrig's disease. They may have, it may have come somewhere in their periphery, but it's in a lot of ways new information for so many of these people we've talked to. And in that way, this benefit that we are all producing it's a couple of it's benefiting people in a couple of different ways. Of course, there's the money aspect that we're trying to bring to the ALS Association, but then there's also the benefit of just information and making people aware of something that is so devastating and needs to be brought to a larger attention.
And what's interesting when talking people, even if they don't know somebody who has had it or have a friend who had somebody who had it, if you mention, not just Lou Gehrig, but everybody's read Tuesdays with Morrie, and that's, what Morrie had. And he, of course, had a very singular philosophy on the, transition process from this life to whatever comes next, which not everybody has. But that Mitch Albom, by writing that book, did a great deal to bring awareness to the disease. Just so many people right now, Augie Nieto, who is a sports player, he has it, and he has a charity called Augie's Quest that does a great deal to support O.J. Brigance, football player, Steve Gleason. So many people, who currently are kind of in the public eye and then become people with ALS and receive a diagnosis. There's a great a great sense of selflessness. It's not just about, of course, they get diagnosed and they're suffering, and that just kind of creates a desire to help and a desire to reach out as much as they can, which, I think every important cause should have. But this cause is very fortunate that it does have that. If anybody doesn't know a great deal about it and wants to know more, besides, of course, buying tickets for this benefit, which I hope you all will do, you can buy them PasadenaPlayhouse.org/One Starry Night. You can also go on Gold Star, and Gold Star has some tickets. You can call 626-359-7526 to get them over the phone.
Great.
But one of the other kind of great things that's coming out of this is that people are learning more about the ALS Association and the work that they do. And if you go to their website, the ALS Association Golden West Chapter, which serves all of California, you can just learn more about the incredible work that they're doing. One of the things that first made me feel very compelled to support this particular cause was a series on YouTube called Often Awesome. And what Often Awesome was a gentleman named Timothy LaFollette, I believe in North Carolina, was diagnosed with familial ALS at the age of, I think, 27 or 28. And he decided that he wanted his entire process documented as a series of episodes. At the same time that he received this diagnosis, he was also in a very serious relationship, in which he later, got married and stuff. And so but I learned about this quite by accident, and then I sat there for about 9 hours just watching all the episodes on YouTube, and just crying my eyes out. And that's a very powerful way to kind of gain a personal perspective of what this actually does to people, and both the tragic and the good, and the way that communities like to come together and just rally and make a very difficult experience into something that has a great positive humanistic aspect to it.
In that film, does it give an example of a community coming together to fight ALS? Yeah,
they create what still exists, I believe, which was called the Often Awesome Army, and which was this gentleman, Tim. His friends and family and friends of friends and extended family formed this kind of coalition that would delegate all of the necessary things in terms of taking care of him, but also fundraising and just kind of serving every aspect, not just of his fight, but in trying to create a huge army against this illness. And there's one particular person who they keep talking about in all these episodes, who's a young lady named Liz Tyroller, who was kind of the driving force behind forming this army itself, and who I believe is still involved with it. And so I have no idea if she's listening, but she's sort of who I think of as an example of a truly exceptional warrior against this disease. And all of us who are working on One Starry Night, I think we're kind of feeling like this is our sort of subscribing to this army and joining this army and this fight. I know that in all I've learned in just the 4 or 5 months that we've been working on this and putting it together, it's something that I want to continue to be involved in, and it's I want to keep giving of myself even after January 13th is over, which I hope is going to be a huge success and generate obviously both funds but also a lot of press and awareness, and just be a very magical, positive night where everybody enjoys these incredible artists coming together. We're going to have a 12-piece band on risers in the Pasadena Playhouse stage.
Nice.
And there's just it's going to be very, very exciting. There's going to be magic acts from Crow Garrett and Gary Morgan, and they do a lot with the Magic Castle. And there's going to be appearances from beloved celebrities like Charlene Tilton of Dallas, who will be here in a few weeks on La La Land. And
on the 28th?
Yeah.
With Juliana Hanson, your co-producer.
Juliana Hanson, my co-producer, who I hope is watching this right now. I don't know if she is. But she's, of course, a tremendous artist in her own right, and can be seen most days of the week in the Aladdin musical spectacular at Disneyland as Jasmine. But she is a dear friend and a wonderful collaborator to work on with this, and very, very tireless, which is what I like. I pretend to be tireless, but I fake myself out and try to just have copious amounts of energy, which works some of the time. But I have so much respect for people who actually genuinely are tireless.
She really must be the hardest working woman in LA.
She is.
She's always doing something.
She's always out there.
Yeah.
She had a great cabaret show last year, and I mean she's just unstoppable. She's doing so much great work. And then she will go off and do these amazing one-night concerts all over the country. And Bruce Kimmel, who is an amazing guy and who's a Grammy Award nominee and who is just fantastic at producing all these wonderful musical theater albums and soundtrack albums, and does Kritzerland, and who's also a very, very huge-hearted guy.
How's he involved in the ALS benefit?
He is both writing and directing it. He's putting together the program. He's kind of he's been working with all of the artists on figuring out what the songs are going to be. He's working with Richard Allen, who's our musical director, who's doing the arrangements and figuring out what kind of arrangements are going to work best. And then he's writing it, which is basically kind of designing the whole program from start to finish. There's going to be a silent auction as well, which is going to be 7 p.m., preceding the 8 p.m. show, which is going to be on site at the Playhouse. And there's going to be some awesome items there to bid on. one of a kind sort of showbiz keepsakes and more that people aren't going to want to miss out on.
Now, through your experiences of learning more about ALS and everything, have you met anyone who is currently battling ALS?
I will be on the 13th. We have a certain amount of tickets that are going towards the association, and they're arranging for people who have ALS and their families to attend the show, which is going to be really spectacular. Which is something that I felt was very important to have that aspect, to it. When we've been, interviewing people, we're putting together kind of a testimonial trailer, and we've been talking to people whose parents are currently, in the midst of their battle, or who have lost a parent, who have lost a grandparent, and many of them are the ones who are not actually involved in the show itself are going to be attending. We're going to have a special message from Fred Fisher, who is the president of the ALS Association Golden West, and so he's going to be there, and he's actually going to speak. So I think it's going to be it's kind of get all kind of the very powerful fighters into one space and into one room.
My half brother died of ALS at age 42.
I did not.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
In 2002, and it was especially back, which is 11 years now, or almost 12 years, and even at that time, it was still this very mysterious disease. And he was very active. He was an avid runner, and that is one thing that you kind of find a common thread. It does strike people that are, have a very healthy lifestyle. And so which makes it very devastating, because their mental capacities are still 100% there, but little by little they're unable to control any of their muscle responses. And I remember, it was my older half sister really took over the caretaking part with him, and became that, that advocate for him, trying to find any sort of, what am I trying to say, pharmaceutical tests or
remedy.
Remedies, but also anything that was anything new that was coming out that they hadn't really tested on anybody else. He was willing to be the guinea pig for just about anything, and now I think there's so much we have to be super safe about it, but it's those warriors from the beginning that were like, you know what, this is coming. I know what's coming, and I am willing to put myself at the forefront of that mystery of is it going to work? Because if the treatment can't be any worse than the disease.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's something that it has been so powerful about learning about people with the disease, and is that so much of the time they have, as much as their bodies don't want to provide the energy, their brains are allowing them to move forward with as much as they possibly can in order to better, hopefully better their own lives, and then to benefit the other people that are unfortunately suffering as well. And it's just so powerful. It's, what you were talking about with Often Awesome, it is so powerful and inspirational, and in some ways, the disease is so ugly, but the fight can be so beautiful. And I think that's such a strange dichotomy that comes out of this disease.
Well, and I think, just now learning about Dorothy's personal connection to it, those are the kinds of things that really contribute to this fight gaining momentum and snowballing, because a lot of the time, until they hear that somebody's working on it, or that somebody's until it kind of comes into conversation, people don't always feel the impetus to say, this is something that I have dealt with myself on a personal level. And when they know that the fight is gaining momentum, that can be a very powerful kind of catalyst.
Exactly, because he was in Florida at the time, and it's just a different. There aren't like celebrity fundraisers in Florida. There isn't that sort of media attention, and I think however much attention we can bring to these medical research, whether it be ALS or really any disease at all, I think it is up to us. I think artists know the way. That we're the ones who first started the awareness for things even as like HIV, and that this is the next battle for us, and that. It strikes the active, it strikes those that are just tapped in, and you have to really take that moment and say, my performing self can still go on, still do something.
Mhm.
Why am I sitting?
I think artists have a tremendous responsibility to bring awareness to things
Mhm.
like this. I think that's a part of the responsibility that you take on as an artist.
Yes.
Is that if you're going to be, have an opportunity like this where we're
Mhm.
in the public eye, quote unquote, you have a responsibility to be talking about these things.
Absolutely.
I mean, I didn't know, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I knew what Lou Gehrig's disease was. I did not know what ALS was when when I initially heard about this event, and I'm so glad that you guys are doing it and bringing awareness.
Well, thank you, Brett. That's
Yeah.
good to hear, and that's what that's the reaction I hope that a lot of people have. Whatever their level of awareness is, I want them to sort of gain more by knowing about this, by
Mhm.
hearing what's going on. I agree with you in terms of artists, and I think a lot of artists feel that intrinsically. Part of what propels them to go out in the world and give of themselves in such a personal way, in terms of their own careers, is the same kind of driving force that makes them want to be a part of a charitable event like this. And I know the incredibly generous Melora Hardin, who participated in the last benefit I was working on, gave a lovely interview to Pasadena Now, where she talked about how it just means so much to her to support causes like this and to use her talent and her fame, because she's if you don't know who she is, you definitely know Jan on The Office.
She is so brilliant.
She is.
As
She really
Jan.
is, absolutely.
It was the the possibility of it being sort of that peripheral character that you don't mind if they come in, but you're not that excited when they do, was possible. And she took it to such a neurotic, beautiful level that was so incredibly lovingly unhinged.
Yeah.
That we literally, my husband and I, we would look and see like, okay, what's coming on. Jan's back. Yes.
Yeah.
It made it for when The Office was no longer appointment television for us.
Yeah.
An episode where Jan was going to be present made it a sit down, not DVR occasion for us.
That's what they should have done for the spinoff then.
I know.
Or just had a Jan spinoff.
They should have just had a Jan. But the thing is that Jan, but she does need to be in small doses because
because she's so intense.
She's so intense. Oh my gosh.
It's one of those examples of a perfect casting too. Like her and Steve Carell have great chemistry.
They do, yeah.
They're really good together.
Absolutely.
The dinner. There's
Always
nothing better than that dinner.
The dinner party
party
was
episode.
the best and worst episode ever because it was amazing, but so uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable. Oh my gosh. I didn't feel comfortable going to the bathroom the whole time because I thought like, oh my God, I'm going to go to my own bathroom. There's going to be a candle there. It was just brilliant. Oh man.
Yeah, she's definitely a comedic genius and also an amazing vocal. She played Roxy for a while on Broadway in Chicago. She did Les Mis at the Hollywood Bowl.
Mhm.
She has her own albums out.
Yeah.
And is a songwriter. So she's a quintuple threat.
Yeah,
So
I had no idea she sang. That's
yeah,
great.
she's multi-talented. She's so graceful. She has such a wonderful, graceful presence when you meet her, when you see her on stage, and she's just. Yeah, she's lending so much wonderful energy to this benefit. It's been great.
Yeah, and the incredible, humble, and wonderful Jean Louisa Kelly, who I'm so happy is a part of this. She's somebody who, if hopefully you know her name, but if you don't, you've seen her before because she had a very successful CBS sitcom, Yes Dear.
Mm-hmm.
Most people remember her from Mr. Holland's Opus, where she plays Rowena, who sings "Someone to Watch Over Me," and kind of steals his heart a little bit, I think. She's in the movie Uncle Buck with John Candy.
Oh, who's she in Uncle Buck?
She's the oldest niece, kind of rebellious girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Classic film.
Tia is the name of that character. So she was in the original Broadway cast of Into the Woods as Snow White.
Really?
Yes.
Not too
That
bad of a
is-
resume.
Yeah. So
That's a tidbit I would have not pulled out. So that's a good one.
she's done a great deal too, and she's the loveliest person. I saw her yesterday actually at the Pasadena Playhouse because Aladdin is going on right now there. The wonderful panto, and she came as a chaperone to her daughter's school.
That's great.
So, yeah, that was fun.
And she'll be back on January 13th.
She will be back on
Absolutely.
January 13th.
On the stage.
On stage with the 12-piece band. And so there's just all of these amazing people who we've been working with on this and gotten to know. I think Irving Berlin, said it best. There really are no people like show people.
No, that's
and
for sure.
I think that comes clearly no more so than when you're working with people on an event like this, and you come face to face with that depth of generosity and that incredible giving spirit and the willingness to just do anything.
Yes.
And that's what we love about it. And it's sort of the perfect storm is the wrong word, but in terms of the power that I think that this event hopefully has the potential to have, because when you learn more about the disease, I think Maury Schwartz, Tuesdays with Maury, described it as kind of melting you like a candle, where literally all of your nerves cease to function, and you can't walk, you can't move, you can't breathe, swallow, and yet your mind stays completely sharp. Just the sort of horrificness of that. I mean, you hear about that and you can't help but, get online and buy tickets and, open your heart and your checkbook and your wallet and just do whatever you can. And there's no, contribution too small and there's no contribution too large, because it comes from such a dire place of need and goes to such important work. And that's what we're all just very happy about.
Absolutely, and I think part of what you were talking about too is with the monetary aspect of this. One of the things that we're hoping for, obviously, is in the future to get a cure, and so there needs to be money for research. But the other issue is that people with this disease have a massive monetary struggle. Their
mobility is cut to zero very
Absolutely.
quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly.
And so, anybody helping out with the family and friends, they need as much help as they can to make sure that the progression of the disease is as comfortable as possible. There's a lot of therapy that's involved, physical therapy and mental therapy, and there's a lot of medical bills. There's a lot of transportation cost. There's just so many things that come into this, and that's, I believe, part of what the ALS Association is also about, is making sure that families can be helped when this disease hits.
Caregivers take a lot of load, and and a lot of times aren't as recognized as those who are, doing the battle themselves. And those caregivers, a lot of times they are undergoing so much emotional stress and trying to keep it together so hard that they can kind of feel like they're drowning. And I think if we have support for them, then in the long run, it helps the entire process.
We're talking with Jonathan White and Devin Kelly of Pasadena Playhouse's ALS event. If you have any questions for them, make sure to give us a call at 323-473-3100, 323-473-3100. I interrupted you right when you were about to say something, Jonathan. Go ahead.
Well, as people who know me, much to their chagrin, know that I'm always about to say something, so it doesn't really matter.
All right. What do you? I don't want to say what do you get out of it, but what do you get out of it? What is the biggest benefit to you and to the Pasadena Playhouse through putting out this event? Obviously, beyond a tremendous a sense of self-pride.
Well, I think that's a big part of it, the sense of self-pride. I do believe in, I guess, karma or whatever you might want to call it, where I think what the energy that you put into the world is sort of, it comes back to you in mysterious ways. And so that I think is a big part of it for me. I think that it is beneficial to yourself as a human being to do work like this and to be a part of events like this, or just charitable giving in any way or capacity, or volunteerism, or whatever you are able to do, because I think it enriches your soul, and there's just a lot that can be gained in that way from it. Of course, it's the holiday season, and if you're like me, you're watching all versions of A Christmas Carol, because I love that movie and that story and everything. And one of the lines that Jacob Marley has is, it's required of everyone to walk amongst their fellow man and contribute. And I think that
mankind is our business.
Mankind is our business, exactly. And so I think at the most basic level, that's what you really get out from being a part of something like this. And I think also, for wonderful organizations like the Pasadena Playhouse, which is a nonprofit itself, which is the State Theater of California since 1937, hosting events like this, it brings incredible goodwill to them. It brings goodwill to the artists who are involved, who are participating. They like being a part of it. They know that any press that they get out of it, or any sort of mention that comes from their participation in the event is a good thing for them. So I think that's sort of what happens. Of course, nobody does it for the press or for any sort of acclaim like that. I think it all has to do with the charitable aspect of it. But I think that's one way that the karma can kind of bring it back to you, is to say, so-and-so or this organization or the Pasadena Playhouse or Juliana Hanson, is participating in this wonderful, wonderful event. And that's something that people notice and that people like. And people, I think, are drawn to human beings and organizations who have a charitable sensibility.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's very, very important to be giving all you can. And what goes around comes around. Good karma comes around.
Exactly. And that I think is something that we all should be thinking about all the time. And I know that I'm not. A lot of people are. And just because you get so stressed in life and you have so much going on, and you kind of forget to think about the sort of intrinsic rewards that come from putting good energy out there.
Without expectation.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I remember I got fired from a job, and I was so depressed, and I thought, I can't just wallow. I can't wallow. I can't do it. I've got to find somewhere else to put my energy. And so I signed up, and I had never run like anywhere. And I signed up and I did the AIDS marathon training that goes for 6 months and then culminates at the Honolulu Marathon. And I remember doing that. Oh, and here's what had happened. It was like the trip, it was like a whammy of I got fired, and then my brother died, and it was just, and there wasn't really, a fundraiser for ALS yet. And I was still, like very in my 20s and figuring out what the hell I was doing anyway. And so I signed up for this AIDS marathon thing. You have to be there early in the morning and run. Again, I had never run like at all. But there was something about, we were all in this similar fight for funds, for community, for bringing something positive. And it was a beautiful year. It taught me how to think outside of myself. It taught me how to appreciate what I have to give and and to understand the gifts of others. It was an incredible year. It was something that helped me heal in many, many ways. And the next year, and I did the run in December of 2002, and then months later, I met my husband, and we got married not long after that. And it just kind of like,
that was your karma, your good energy coming back to you.
It really was. So
that's such an important concept.
Yeah,
turning a really stupid, bad situation into something extremely positive.
Yes.
And, I mean, even just the act of going out there early in the morning and I mean, you go out there with the idea that this is a positive thing.
Exactly.
It's so important. And people, I think more and more people are finding that all the time. And I think that more and more people need to start discovering that concept.
Yep.
This show came out of something kind of negative. This show kind of came out of me losing my job and trying to, needing something to do, something to fill my time.
Yeah.
And I look back, if that bad thing hadn't have happened, this might not have happened. So,
there you go.
It's those little decisions that you make, little steps.
In practically every situation in life, I think that there really are silver linings.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they're more evident than others, and sometimes you have to kind of drill down a little bit to kind of get to that. But I think it is sort of almost always there. And I think that's a good way of looking at the world, and that's another thing that we forget to do.
Absolutely. So. We have another caller on the line, and this may or may not be Stephanie Hayslip. I knew it. Hey, Stephanie.
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. We're gonna finish up. We're gonna finish up with Jonathan and Devin. Can you hang on the line for about 5 minutes, and we'll get right to you?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, that was Stephanie Hazlip, who's going to be talking to us in about 5 minutes about everything that she's doing with Sister Act the Musical national tour that she's on. Anything that you guys would like to say in closing about the ALS benefit at the Pasadena Playhouse on January 13th?
Well, I just want to encourage everybody to get their tickets and to spread the word about the benefit and about the cause. As I said, you can go to pasadenaplayhouse.org/One Starry Night. One Starry Night is all lowercase. You can call 626-356-7529. You can buy tickets over the phone. You can go to the Pasadena Playhouse box office, which is located at 39 South El Molino in Pasadena, and you can go on Gold Star. So there's really no excuse not to buy the tickets. I mean, what are people really going to be doing on a Monday night in January?
I don't know.
other
I'm
than
putting
this?
it in my calendar right now.
And just as we were talking about the Christmas cheer and goodwill towards men, this is such a great thing to do if you're looking for something to donate to or to help out during this wonderful season. Of course, the actual event is just after Christmas, but it's now is the time to show your support. And if you're feeling like you came out of a production of a Christmas Carol, or you're listening to holiday music or something, and you just want to do something to help out, this is such a good way to do it, and it would be so appreciated.
And it's a good gift too if you have relatives, friends who enjoy entertainment, and you get them tickets to this. Not only are you giving them a gift, but you're giving a gift to the ALS Association and to all the people with ALS in California.
Like that.
Yeah, it's guaranteed to be a great time. It's going to be an incredibly fun show.
One other thing I forgot to mention, it's really a chance, I think, to see one of the performers, Eric Bergen, before he becomes a massive movie star. Because in June, he's going to be playing Bob Gaudio of the Four Seasons in Clint Eastwood's Jersey Boys film.
Oh.
And that, I think, is going to bring him sky high. But before that, in January, you can come see him on stage in this.
And we have another question for you, another call on the line for you. Hello, caller.
Me?
Yes. Hi.
Really? Hi. Who am I? Is Striker on there?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You missed him.
I missed him. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for calling, though.
Okay, I'll check out your radio show. I didn't mean to be rude.
You can check out our radio show anytime. Thank you for calling.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Again, the pleasures of live radio.
Yes. And might I add about the Pasadena Playhouse? We recently, I was recently there to see 12 Angry Men, and we had Barry Pearl on the show. Fantastic place to see a show, fantastic venue, and that was an excellent show as well.
It is.
I loved that show.
And Barry will be back, of course, on the 13th.
Will he? All right.
He and the amazing Bruce Valanche are going to be doing a lovely duet from the musical Hairspray, which, of course, Bruce did many times all over, including Broadway. So that's another thing you'll get to see on the 13th.
Just delightfully fun. Yeah.
And Barry was wonderful in 12 Angry Men. And right now, Bruce is wonderful in Aladdin, which is playing at the Playhouse.
Oh.
Yes.
I like that.
Very cool. Well, thanks, guys, so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Come back anytime.
Thanks.
Can you stick around while we talk to Stephanie?
Of course.
You guys know Stephanie.
Yeah. We last saw her at Daisy's baby shower.
Love it.
Yes, you did.
Stephanie, there she is. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey.
Thanks for calling in.
Well, you guys talk about important things.
Well, you're an important thing.
Or person.
Or person, whatever. Either one. I learned through Stephanie's Twitter account that she is currently just went over to start doing the national tour of Sister Act, and she's been there about a week. And I said, Stephanie, you need to tell us what you're doing over there and how much fun you're having.
Yes.
How's everything going there?
It's incredible. The whole company is just so nice and has been so welcoming and supportive. Because basically you get 2 weeks and then you're out there, you're going, and it's a lot of information very, very fast. I had no idea that nuns had so much choreography, and it was so fast.
I'll bet. Talk about being thrown into the fire. And you can find information about Stephanie, by the way, at stephaniehayslip.com. And if you have any questions, give us a call at 323-473-3100. It's that number right down here below me. So you're having a great time out there, Stephanie. What's been the biggest challenge for you so far?
Huh?
What's been the biggest
I'm sorry?
challenge? What's been the biggest challenge in the last week for you so far, besides learning the choreography?
Well, I started my career as a dancer and picked up singing when I was a little bit older. But I've always been a very quick study. I always pick up things pretty quickly. I maybe it's the fact that I'm kind of having to throw the music and the choreography together almost immediately and kind of have it up on its feet as quickly as possible because the person I'm replacing is going off to bigger and better things. Trisha Tanguy, she's amazing. But yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge, just kind of learning the music and the dancing and trying to meld it all at once. Usually I take the music and I drill that and then I learn the dancing or vice versa. And right now I'm having to shove them both together as quickly as possible. So that's probably the most, that's probably the most challenging thing.
And now you're having to learn about life on the road as well. Had you done a tour before?
I did a children's van tour in another life.
Oh, I know those.
Yeah.
But this
it
is your
was
first
not
national tour?
Fun
Mm-hmm.
experience.
But this is your
So
first,
This is much different.
and this is your first national tour, Stephanie?
This is my first national tour. I'm getting my equity card with this. It's
Love it.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest thing that I've booked. So I'm very, very, very thankful and very excited.
Excellent. Now, did they do standard replacement auditions, or did someone see you along the way, or how did this come about?
It was a replacement audition in Los Angeles when they were here doing the show. Basically, they had never auditioned in LA, and so they were like, well, we're here, might as well see what's here. And they actually picked up a lot of talent. Natalie Stores joined a couple weeks ago. Michaela Martinez joined a couple weeks ago. Paul Nigro. Somebody else I saw somebody else had just gotten picked up. They were very pleased with the level of talent and the kind of untapped ability that they came across in LA. So I hope that means that more tours will audition more in LA. Hopefully the word will get out.
We hope so too.
Yeah, because they do audition here. It happens, but there's a lot of talent in LA that is untapped at the moment for tours and original casts of things and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yep, I agree.
Can you take us through a typical day of what somebody in a national tour does? Can you take us through a typical day in your rehearsal schedule and what you do?
Well, basically, I start my day at rehearsal. It's either at the theater or it's at a rehearsal studio that we're using. And that goes for people who've been doing the show for a while as well. You'll have brush-up rehearsals. You'll have put-in rehearsals where people like me who are just starting or people who are understudies or what have you can run the show before they perform as a character. But yeah, so basically you have several hours during the day of rehearsal, a couple times a week. And the show, usually your call is about 30 minutes ahead of time, and then you just roll out and do the show. And we have been lucky enough to be in places at least a week, if not two.
Oh, that's nice.
Very
I know.
helpful.
Yeah.
Some you're there, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, there's some tough ones out there.
Yeah. Sometimes you are running out onto a bus and driving out that night as soon as the show is done, trying to get a decent night's rest on a bus so you can, in less than 24 hours, do a show somewhere else. With this, we have been lucky enough to have at least a week in most places. I think we're in Detroit for 2 weeks. There's another city we're in for 2 weeks, but now I can't quite.
Is that where you are now? Is Detroit? Are you in Detroit now?
I head out for New Orleans.
I was about to say, I'm like, according to
on Monday.
Yeah, New Orleans. Nice.
New Orleans, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, Stephanie.
I'm very excited. Thank you.
We're excited for you. I remember Stephanie when she was just coming up in the industry about 2 years ago. She was on our show.
Oh.
Yeah. So now she's national tour material. Look at that.
Check you out. I think it's all because of La La Land.
We take full credit for your success, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Of course.
Find out all kinds of information about Stephanie at stephaniehayslip.com, STEPHANIEHAYSLIP.com.
And if you want to find out if Sister Act the musical is coming to your town, you can go to sisteractbroadway.com, and they have a link to get tickets as well as where they'll be next.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
You too. Break a leg and best of luck on your tour. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Talk soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
Stephanie Hayslip from the national tour of Sister Act, the musical.
Excellent.
And Jonathan White and Devin Kelly of the ALS Benefits One Starry Night at the Pasadena Playhouse, January 13th. Get your information at pasadenaplayhouse.org/One Starry Night. That's ONE spelled out, right? Not the number one.
Yes, thank you for asking. But yes, it is.
One Starry Night. Dorothy.
Hey.
Hey.
All right.
You got some stuff you wanted to say at all before we take off here?
No, I'm just. Can everyone send me good traffic karma for today? Because I'm running around like a crazy. Oh, I'm about to go see at a high school Spring Awakening. So yes,
It's going to be interesting.
It will. Now, mind you, it's LASA. It's the High School of the Arts. It's
Okay.
the county high school, or is that LAXA or LASA? I don't know. Anyway,
LASA.
LASA.
With an S.
The one at Cal State LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm
Think
about to
so.
go see that, and very excited, and then just running around to holiday parties and things. So
very cool.
Tis the season.
I know. It's like I got to triangulate my location.
I know.
Tis the
there's
season for
always
hectic
so many things
craziness.
happening.
Yes, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
No,
life.
it's good.
It's
It's
a
a
good
good
life
way
to
to be.
have. Mhm. Good times.
We want to remind everybody too about the closing weekend of The Foreigner at the Pasadena at Theater Palisades.
Yes.
TheaterPalisades.com for any information about that. It's a very funny show. It plays tonight and tomorrow afternoon at 2.
That's right.
And coming up at Theater Palisades, we're going to be having Talking With on January 13th, January 9th.
Okay. Whatever
Yes.
I don't not memorize.
Whenever you say, Brad.
Yeah, it's the first or second week in January. Let's put it that way. I
And bring your
can't think
kids.
past the holidays at
That's
this
true.
point.
That's true. And bring your
Yes.
kids to see Ever After the musical, and that opens February 28th through March 9th. And that is a great show for all ages, especially those of the younger persuasion.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very fun. It is a hoot.
That sounds
And I
great.
only do stuff that amuses me. So I don't do any of this like no. It's got to have some sort of like wah wah
Substance and
yes.
yeah.
That was a good demonstration of stuff that is not amusing.
Yes.
Right.
That was not amusing.
It was
Why did you
not.
do that?
It was amusing when you did it, but what it implied wasn't amusing.
Yes, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. With the Bang on the Drum Theater, when like the director's on the front row, and they bang the drum and goes, "Now you talk." You know, I don't do that. I'm like
really
nowhere to be
happen?
found. Yes,
really
it does.
happen? That's
yes,
ridiculous.
it absolutely happens.
I was in a show pretty recently, and I won't say where the director gave the curtain speech from the back of the house, sitting down in the back row.
Oh.
Sitting down.
So everyone has to turn around and
saying about the
stare
fire
and-
accident. I mean, I turned around for a second. I wasn't going to stare at her, but yeah, it's just, at least stand up and come to the front
Seriously.
of the house. It's a little rude.
Like, well, if you don't want to die,
yeah. It's just like the fire exits are that way, and yeah, that's pretty much how it was.
I don't know. Maybe if the place sets fire, I'll get a better review. I don't know.
It was weird. It was weird. That's how I felt.
There may or may not be exits here, okay, everyone?
Yeah. Show your audience some respect. I want to thank the Actors Group and Stephen Connor for inviting me out last night to their holiday party. They do great work over there. They do casting director workshops.
Oh, great.
They're over in Burbank. The Actors Group, I should say.
The Actors Group?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
I was actually with the VO Dojo on Thursday. Remember our friend Tish Hicks that came to
Yes.
visit? Yes. I was with her group on Thursday.
Awesome.
So, yes, arigato. It was very nice. Very nice time.
Uh-oh. Don't mess with you.
But, well, yeah. Seriously.
Clearly.
No, wait. So random. This is so tangential. Okay, so all right, the guy that I took improv from, who's crazy. He's so crazy. His name is Chris Barnes, and he used to write for SNL and all that kind of thing.
Hard to believe that somebody that you took classes from is crazy.
I know,
Sorry.
nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he also he not only taught this comedy class, but he also taught Shorin-ryu karate. And so I would literally be there for 4 hours doing both improv and karate.
What?
I don't know. It was very strange. Anyway, he left town. I lost track of him. I get a Facebook message last night. It turns out he's now somehow landed in New York, and he is the co-owner of Flaming Saddles, which is a Western-themed gay bar. That is his girlfriend. The co-owner is the woman who started Coyote Ugly. Do you remember this whole thing where
Yeah.
the bartenders dance on the bar? Say it's that.
But a gay bar.
But a gay bar.
That's fantastic.
Yes. And I'm kind of like, really? That is, but what? And the reason he called is because, not called. The reason he found me is because of the Big Lots commercial. He was
Love
like,
it.
what? How funny is that?
When you said Flaming Saddles, I was like, this is
I
either
know.
a gay bar or a Mexican restaurant. I don't know.
So
that is a wonderful name for a place.
Isn't it? I love
Yeah,
that.
it is.
You know, he and his girlfriend were talking. She goes, I really want to do a gay themed Western bar. He goes, oh, will you help me with this? She goes, only if we call it Flaming Saddles. And she goes, all right.
Done
I
and
guess
done.
it's done."
That's an easy yes or no question.
Yeah.
Love it. I want to announce too, this time next Saturday, I'm participating, and I can't say where, but I'm participating in a flash mob using the song Seasons of Love from Rent.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to be at a very crowded location. We're going to go out and do it, and we're looking for more people, guys. So,
Tweet him or
Kana Kumani, by the way, is our female soloist.
Koinuma, yes.
Yes. Kana Koinuma.
Yes.
Is our female soloist.
Yes, she's amazing.
Yes, she is.
She was Marcy in Spelling Bee. So.
But we need more people, guys.
Yeah.
The more, the merrier.
That sounds like so much fun.
Do you want to participate?
I
It's
wish I
gonna be
could.
awesome.
We will not be here, but
Oh, no.
I wish. That sounds like so much fun.
Okay. Well, next year.
Yeah,
There you
Do
go.
something like this next
definitely.
year.
Yes.
But if you want to be involved this year, guys, make sure to email us at lalalandtalk@gmail.com. I'll give you all the information. It's going to be next Saturday, the 21st, around 5 o'clock in a secret location. But email us for the information.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna be a
gotta
lot
go
of
see
fun.
Spring Awakening.
Go see Spring Awakening.
I gotta go. All right.
Okay.
No, literally, I have to go now.
Okay.
But I adore you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Bye.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
I just realized I'm not gonna make it.
And as Dorothy makes her exit.
I'll see you
So
guys in the new
long.
year, okay? Because I won't be here for a couple weeks, but I adore you all. Mwah.
Yes, surprise guest co-host next week.
Woohoo!
For all of us here at La La Land Talk. This is, you can find information about us at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk, Twitter at twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. You can send us an email, lalalandtalk@gmail.com. And that was Dorothy Dillingham Blue. I'm Brett Chapin. This is La La Land on LA Talk Live. We'll see you at the top.